Hey everybody, this is Carl back again for another comic book spoiler review. And because I did my review on Black Adam, which you can find on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl, uh, uh, I thought, okay, I wanted to do like a Black Adam comic, but I also wanted to do like a Shazam comic too, considering, or Captain Marvel as he's supposed to be titled. I'm not going to hash into that, but because I will be for the holidays for December, one of my movie that I'll be reviewing is the Shazam movie, and I figure it's fitting that I'll cover the comic that they're both in. And it's kind of like what uh kind of both films were the comic that both films were using as inspiration. The Shazam story, written by Jeff Johns, who have done a lot of work for the Doomsday Clock. Uh, I think it's supposed to be like a reimagining of the origin story of Billy Batson, aka Captain Marvel. I think this a little bit within like the New 52 era, and of course the original incarnation of Billy Batson, he's very like doughy eye, very good hearted kid. In this, which I don't remember me being a total fan over, but I think I kind of warmed up to the fact that as a modern retelling, Billy Batson is just like a kid of the modern age. He is a good kid, but is more layers to him compared to his first incarnation. So we get introduced with Dr. Savannah, who is kind of the allegory of the mad scientist. In the movie, he's played by I'm blanking on his doggone name, but the actor is a phenomenal character actor. You know who I'm talking about if you've seen the Shazam movie. And uh, Savannah is on a search for, because he gathered together and interviewed a lot of people who experienced this meeting with the wizard Shazam, who has been on a search for a new champion, someone who is pure of heart. And throughout his searches, somehow, for all his long years of life, he never came across anybody but one he suspected at that time being pure of heart, which was Black Adam. And so Savannah, during this expedition, eventually finds the tomb of Shazam, but don't get ahead of ourselves. But we also establish Billy Batson, who is like a troubled youth, and he's an orphan, in and out of foster home. And I think this part wasn't too off the mark when it comes to the orphan caretaker of this orphanage, who I believe was kind of mean to Billy in the first incarnation. Here they kind of lean into it, where she's kind of like just trying to get rid of him because he's like 2 years away from being 18 and out of her hair. So they put this kind of faux interview between the this foster these two parents who were foster children of themselves and starting to raise foster children of their own to establish their own family. And of course, Billy's put on air as oh, I'm such a good kid, and I do love hot chocolate, and of course, it's a ruse, just trying to, because Billy wants to get out of this orphanage. The orphanage caretaker is trying to get rid of him because he's kind of like He's a teenager, and I don't like the look of the foster father who got this weird hippy dippy soul patch. And so Billy gets dropped off of the house of Mr. and Mrs. Vasquez, the people who run the uh, raising this large family. And he, I got my bad. I forgot because I got the thing here. Hold on a second. Or actually, no. Because I got the comic up right now. So you meet, of course, Mary, who you know to be Mary Marvel, in comics. You also meet Freddie, Darla, the young black girl who's always so cutesy and innocent. Then you also got Pedro and Eugene. So Billy's just sitting there what kind of Brady Bunch bullcrap I'm just landing myself into. So everybody's just like super it's very I don't know, it's a kids WB, but it's kind of it's like so borderline corny. And of course, Darla's like, oh, it's uh, you're my brother. It's like you're a new brother, and Billy kind of snaps because he's kind of like a dick, and he's like, look, we're not family. And then she starts crying, which Mary kind of throw his delinquent ass into the bedroom, saying Darla got enough problems. We don't need that crap. And Billy just mumbles to himself like, oh, I didn't mean to make the kid cry. But they did make the artist did make Darla super freaking cute, and it's kind of crazy in the movie. In her Shazam form, she's played by Megan Good, and Megan Good did play off that. Oh, I'm just an 8-year-old dorky little kid, and I'm still that way despite the adult size. So Billy ends up sneaking out. Well, he's thought about sneaking out. Well, he's on the he's not sticking around long. That was his plan. Just long enough until he's got a plan. And in the morning, everything is all cool because Darla doesn't get mad long. So everybody's crowding around the table like, oh, we're having waffles. It's like, what the hell? This is so corny in this house. So Freddy's running this kind of racket. It's kind of as he put it, like a Shawshank Redemption kind of situation. He's established himself as a little small business where he kind of set up people pay him for good test scores or just the answer to test scores or doctor's notes or hall passes. People come to him, so he got his little racket, and he thought he could be friends with Billy, and it's Billy, oh look, we're not friends, stop saying because he got a chip on him. So obviously, Billy, as you know, has gone through like a hard life. He uh as you know, it's like his parents abandoned him, so it's kind of like he's been through the foster care system, so obviously it's not been pleasant. Some get off worse than even he, but still, it's not like a too pleasant thing. And he's like, you know, he's at that age, hormones are all over the place, and like he got a chip on his shoulders. It's like it's not been a good time for Billy, so of course he has a little bit of edge. Uh, However, it doesn't mean he's a complete, you know, uh, bastard, because as soon as like Freddy getting picked up by these little punks who got like a rich daddy, and then of course they think they can do whatever the hell they want, and they start picking on Freddy, and it's like this kind of like very uh Spielberg slash uh who's the writer of The Shining? I'm blanking on his doggone name. Uh, uh, when like bullies in their films, or their worlds, they're all very cartoonish. Like no person in this, like, let's say, like, it was going around like at least mid 90s up until now, no sensible person will pick on a kid with crutches. And it's like that's like tailor made for psychos. It's like something like a Joker would do just for kicks. And it's like, it's like you gotta be a special brand of asshole for that. And of course, Billy is like having none of that, and he kicks these kids' ass. And then, of course, like, Billy gets in trouble, of course, because it's like kind of like a kid center kind of story. And then, of course, everybody's getting on Billy's case. Even like the rich daddy comes in and is like, I pay good money in school, like, and not to have my kids getting abused by this delinquent. And of course, uh, you know, Billy's like, ain't having none of it. It's like, your kids are some freaking brats, and like, of course, the father's like, grabbing onto his, uh, uh, you know, just a complete dick, and like threatening Billy. And then Billy's foster dad comes in like, hey, what kind of person that threatens a kid? Like, back off my son. Uh, and like a father's supposed to, like any father's supposed to. It's like, you keep your hands off my kid. And of course, the other dad, the rich dad, puts both of them to the side, and they all hop in their car and veer off laughing maniacally like some crazy idiots. Of course, Billy's like having a slight moment because like he never experienced anybody standing up for him before. Then you move to Dr. Savannah and finally finding one of the tombs in his excavation, that trying to unlock the doorway to the wizard's chambers, but this breach, causes magic lightning to went to his face, and so he has like a bit of like he can see magic now. And then of course now, the Vasquezes are having a discussion whether or not what to do with like Billy, because they feel like, okay, we've been sold a bill of goods because this kid is like, not as what he appeared to be. Billy, decides to like, okay, it's time for me to book it, and then they're going to throw me back into the system. Obviously, they wasn't going to do that, but he sneaks out to the Fawcett City Zoo, and Freddy follows him as he's looking at this tiger. As of course, if you are familiar with the lore of Captain Marvel, there's this tiger called Talkie Tawny, and he has like magic that allows him to talk in some iterations. Here he's just like a regular tiger. And of course, there's other stuff in like the rebirth era. I think they put in like the actual talking tiger situation. We'll get to that, some point in the future when I come back to another Captain Marvel story. Because the rebirth era of Captain Marvel is really really good. Um, so they both, Freddie and Billy shared this little sap story about each other's like lives. Freddie's parents are just in jail, so that's why he was eventually adopted. And so they concoct this plan on getting back at those rich, snobby brats and the dad for what they did, which is eventually like attack, try to vandalize that car. And Savannah eventually finds the tomb, or in the movie, a prison of uh, of Black Adam, Teth Adam. So he says the words Shazam, and he releases Black Adam from his prison. And now Black Adam is on a vendetta to find the wizard who imprisoned him in the first place. And he and Savannah team up because Savannah, because just like in the movies, because Savannah, he takes Savannah and one of the other diggers, or at least, no, not a digger, but one of Savannah's like lab associates up in the sky. And of course, Black Adam speaking it into his Egyptian language, and only Savannah know what he is saying. The other one doesn't. So just like in the movie, Black Adam pretty much like Mortal Kombat's him to death and turns him to lightnings him to death and turns him into a skeleton. And these two begin to work together and track it down, the wizard. And then the wizard eventually finds out that Black Adam's been released. So he decides, okay, it's crunch time. I gotta find somebody. And so Billy, after the alarm goes off on the vehicle they're trying to vandalize, Billy decides, okay, I gotta hide Freddy because he won't be able to outrun these guys because of the crutches. So he puts Freddy into the bushes. Okay, like, you stay here. I'll leave him away and you get out of here once the coast is clear. So Billy leaves him away and he hightails it into this train where it magically teleports him to the wizard's location. So the wizard looks inside Billy's heart, saying like, I'm looking for a champion of pure heart. And Billy lays it out. And he looks into Billy's mind. It's like, you're not pure of heart either. It's like, I've been searching for centuries. And Billy points out to him, was like, hey, because it's like a very different retelling of the Shazam origin story. Because in the original telling, Billy is pure of heart. He's not like a delinquent or anything like that. He is treated like that, but he's not like that in his original retelling. But in this modern interpretation, to fit the modern take on Billy Batson, he is kind of a delinquent, but he still has some good natured qualities. He's human. He's a mighty mortal. So it's like, he has layers to him, but he's good at heart. So he tells the wizard, like, nobody's pure of heart. You've been looking for so long for this pure of heart hero to be your champion. There's no such thing. Well, it's like, you kind of established Wonder Woman and Superman in this world, so it's kind of like, clearly, Superman is a prime example of somebody being pure of heart. But I guess maybe somebody on this earth, but it's kind of like, it's like, you should know this guy. He's a kid. I'm not gonna totally begrudge him, but he should have better examples of people actually of pure heart that he can look at. But uh, the wizard thinks to himself, okay, you have the ember, and maybe you have the embers of somebody pure of heart. So he revisits, the psyche of Billy, and he sees all the good stuff Billy has done. This, that's completely selfless. So it's like, okay, you're as close as I'm gonna get. So because he knows, like, once he gives, just like with Teth Adam, once he gives the power to somebody, he can't take it back. So that's why he has to be 100% sure. So he gives Billy the power. And now Billy is like, okay, he doesn't really give Billy, like, the complete instructions or warning him of what's to come. Oh, but he did leave this bit of wisdom for him. It's like, family is, not as what you make it, not what it should be. Which comes back around towards the end. So that's when the wizard ends up dying because he's on his last legs and he's not going to be able to defend himself against Black Adam because he already killed the other wizards in the chambers and he was the only one left. So this is kind of like a last ditch effort. So he heads in his bets on Billy. Billy returns back to Earth and meets up with Freddy. And they're like, oh, I got superpowers. So the first thing they did was try to exploit it somehow. But the first thing they did is trash that rich dude's car. And then starts, trying to test out a little bit of Billy's powers. And as soon as Billy sees a woman about to get mugged, he immediately, use the speed of Mercury, goes over there quickly, and knocks dude away and saves this woman from being mugged. And then she pays Billy for his trouble, gives him like a $20 bill. And Freddy like, oh, okay, you're an adult now. So it's like, that means you can, you can buy us beer and we can try it out. So they go to the convenience store. It's about to get robbed. So he decides, like, okay, I'll, like, he stops that immediately. And then instead of beer, they end up getting, like, just all kid snacks and chips and soda. Because, like, beer is disgusting, I guess, to them. At the same time, Adam was learning from Savannah that, this is a modern age now. And Adam sees these protesters and is wondering, like, why are they protesting? Because, and Savannah's like, because the person of the company is not paying them the proper ways and stolen their livelihood. Oh, and Adam equates that to his time in Egypt. It's like, oh, so he's a pharaoh and he's living off of these slaves. So he goes up to the building. You can definitely see, like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson doing this in a Black Adam movie. Takes this CEO, yanks him out of his, because he's completely, you can show him as a dick so he doesn't feel too bad of what happens next. He snatches him from his high rise and drops him all the way down until he goes splat, frightening the hell out of everybody. And he tells everybody, "You're free, slaves." And everybody just freaking out because he doesn't understand, like, why they're freaking out. You just killed a man in front of everybody. So Adam eventually finds the doorway to the Rock of Eternity and finds the dead wizard, but he can't enter because he's no longer the sole champion, and he already found his new champion. And of course, at the same time, Savannah's, having, like, the magic he's able to see now. His body can't handle it, and it's already starting to, slowly cripple him a bit. So now he has to find this new champion and take his power in order to be the sole champion again so he can seize the Rock of Eternity. All the while, Billy is using his power to, like, you know, uh, get paid and, get all this, like, snacks and all this other stuff, doing kid stuff. So Black Adam decides to recruit the seven deadly sins that's been locked away inside of people and forced to forget who they are until Black Adam reunited their memories. So he goes to find Sloth, who's in this fat slob, and they start in the Sloth and Savannah starts going to hunt for the other sins, just like almost like in the Shazam movie. And I gotta say, I love the art in this. I mean, like, the art is like the writing and the art is just like on point. I'm not a huge fan of like the like not Doomsday Clock, but crap. Like, I'm blanking on this song. Not Doomsday Clock. Uh, what is it? God. It's like the Minuteman and Doctor Manhattan. Crap. Watchmen. There he is. Uh, I'm not a huge fan of Watchmen. But then again, I wasn't really a huge fan of the Doomsday Clock stuff either, because not only that it took super long between issues, but it was like a whole situation. It didn't pan out as well as they probably hoped it might be. But like the Watchmen stuff, I'm not really a fan of the Watchmen stuff. But I'm not gonna lie and say the uh, writing and the art wasn't pretty good. But yeah. So uh, at this point, like, Freddy's like, ready to head home because it's about to get dawn soon, and you don't want people, the family worrying about them until, like, yeah, they eventually stop a bank robbery and stuff like that. Uh, but Freddy is telling them, we gotta go, but Shazam gets stopped by this uh woman in America named Francesca, who's warning him about, like, the danger of Black Adam's looking for him. And of course, like, like, he's not, listening really, but he's not ready to go home. Well, he just don't want to go back anyway. He's like, okay, I'm an adult now. I can do whatever I want. Uh, and Freddy's like, oh yeah, you're an adult now because you're just as condescending as they are. And as soon as, like, you know, Billy is like, like, I probably sound like a complete ass at that moment. So as soon as he's trying to, like, find Freddy, he gets, jumped on by Black Adam, who's pretty much tracking his magical energy. At least when it's on, not when Billy shuts it off. Uh, so Black Adam is pretty much handing Billy his ass because he actually knows how to freaking fight, and he mastered the powers of the wizard far better than Billy have so far. Uh, Eventually, all the sins get released, and they go inside the rich snobby dad who's trying to press charges on Billy, thinking like, even though the car is completely trash, and he's bringing cops along, and it's like there's no way Billy can like physically do that. So it's like he has no basis on it. He's doing guesswork, and so all the sins use him as a host and start wreaking havoc. And it's like I also like this guy. I think they kind of in the Black Adam movie they kind of utilize this moment, or at least a lot of moments in this comic, where Black Adam rarely walks. It's like, why walk when I can float? Because I have the power to do so. And like most of the time in this comic, Black Adam is floating, just like in the movie. The Rock is always have Black Adam floating in air, or just flying or floating. Rarely walks, because he's just establishing that kind of like dominance. Oh, so Billy turns off the powers of the wizard. So because he knows he's bleeding, he's running scared because he's still a kid. He's like, I'm gonna die, and this guy doesn't care about any kind of possible collateral while he's trying to come after me because he wants his power. So he's in terms of like a fighting capabilities, he doesn't have the skills to really combat Black Adam, who has like many years of hand-to-hand training along with this power. So he starts off his power and starts running, and of course Black Adam's like can't track him anymore until he turns on his power again. So the other kids starting to track down because Freddy is telling them about the truth about what's going on with Billy. They go off and try to find him because they trying to do this Goonie stuff, which I think Billy made a Goonies reference here in a comic. But they're all going off trying to find Billy. They track him down at the zoo, and they decide it's like, okay, go find the subway to take him to the wizard's chamber. And I like the design of the Deadly Sins. I had a picture, but the file was too big and I can't find it online. But I like the images of all the sins, except for, I guess it's supposed to be lust, because he looks like just like a guy in a straitjacket with his tongue hanging out, and it's like, that's supposed to be lust. It would be nice to just have like another female. I know this probably sounds very like cliche, because Pride is the only female in this sausage fest, and it's kind of like, okay, just have another female and have it be lust, or at least an androgynous type of character to be lust, kind of like Desire in the Sandman story. Desire is an androgynous character. It can be like any which gender. On the way to the chambers of the wizard, Francesca shows up in Eugene's tablet, because Eugene's the tech guy in the group, and she regales Billy of the story of Black Adam. And Billy's like, because he grew up as a slave, you're thinking like, just like in the movie, you think Teth Allen was this little kid that became a savior, but Billy decides, oh, okay, I know what's going on now, and he's trying to appeal to him, kid to kid, but no, Teth Adam was the uncle of the kid. Kid was as heroic and altruistic and everything like that, and while Teth Adam, because they both lost their families to this pharaoh, and uh, the wizards gave uh, them both the shared power of Shazam, but Billy's Shazam powers is based off Greek gods, while Teth Adam was based off Egyptian gods, utilizing kind of similar aesthetics like speed and strength and invulnerability and so forth. Uh, it's pretty much magic Superman. That's why they can hang with Superman more so than anybody else. Uh, but Adam was like, no, I'm not the kid. That was my nephew. He ended up killing his own nephew, who didn't want to go along with seeking revenge against the pharaoh because he wants to do it like a noble way, and he sees the power of Shazam all to himself. He's the sole bearer, and that's why he was later in prison. Uh, um, and that's another thing. I don't think we ever, ever get to know any other wizards that was with Shazam. We only know Shazam, and forgive me if I'm wrong, and I'm not sure if anybody can correct me on this, because I really want like another good Shazam story. If I was writing for a Shazam, I want to explore the other wizards that was there and their stories, and like expand on that because we only know the wizard, and there was more people in that council than him that Billy and the other Marvel family eventually took over. So, thanks for the timely this because Black Adam got his hand over Billy's mouth, so he can't really speak the word in order to change. So Mary and the others, use a card to ram into Adam, distracting him long enough to let Billy go so he can say the word. So he chains back, and Teth Adam had Mary and Freddy by the throat. It's like, give me the power or they die. So it's like, this dude's about to kill some fucking kids. It's like, even though Mary looks like she's about to reach 22, to be honest. But thanks to remembering what Francesca, who's reminding Billy of what the wizard was trying to tell him, his family is who, pretty much who you make, and not what it should be. So he then gives, just like in the movie, gives the power, shares the power of Shazam with his new family. And it's like he shouts, Shazam! And then you get all the Shazam family in this, in all their glory. And it's like it's cool costumes, pretty freaking Power Rangers esque. And they all like, okay, we're pretty awesome now. So what do we do now? And Bill just shouts like, just get him! And as I love this is my favorite moment in the entire comic, where you see all these kids in the adult bodies just jumping. That's why I want Black Adam to be in like a Shazam movie and not worrying about what the hell Superman's doing, because I wanted to see that iconic moment with Billy and his family just jumping on him. Of course, The Rock. I like The Rock, but he has an ego on him that's kind of like unnerving sometimes. And it's like, get out of yourself for a moment and just allow yourself to get like, punched, quite a bit in here in this film. Because it's fun. It's supposed to having fun here. So, they help Billy, deal with the sins, and while also trying to deal with Adam. And also saving like the neighboring, the neighborhood people. Uh, and then also, they head back to the fight is taken to the zoo, and Billy charges up, uh, uh, like He Man and his large cat. He charges him up, shares some of the Shazam powers with the tiger temporarily just to offer some extra backup because that really tears up Adam a bit. Uh, so so Billy comes up with this idea, which is kind of dumb, and they kind of hinted at this because it shouldn't have realistically worked. Well, Billy changes back to his human form or his kid form again, and says like, "Okay, okay, if you want to take me on, you want to do it because I know how to fight, you know, and you know." Unless you like killing kids and still calling yourself hero, why don't you take me on in your mortal form? We can settle this right here and now. I lose, I'll give you the power. If you lose, you get the hell out of my city. And so, at first he's like, no. And then Billy just taunts him, like, oh, okay, I guess you're just fine with just killing kids and still calling yourself a hero. And so, in terms of honor, Adam changes back into his mortal form. Although, because he's been Adam for so long, his mortal body has significantly aged. And so it aged so rapidly, he disintegrated into dust. And that's, you know, temporarily that's the end of Black Adam. There's another comic where uh the followers of Teth Adam gather his ashes and they put some enchantment and revitalize Black Adam. So now we have forever Black Adam. Uh but uh and then the Sins eventually leaves their avatar, and of course they probably later duke it out with Shazam in later issues. And so the comic ends with it's Christmas time and it's Christmas Day, and now you know Billy is like he loves his family. He found like a proper home, but then like the epilogue ends with Savannah finally breaching the walls of the wizard's chambers, and and you get just like in the movie, he meets up with Mr. Mine, another rogue of the Shazam family. Yeah, I mean, this is looking pretty good. If you want to get the jump on some Zam comics, uh, the Shazam the Deluxe edition written by Jeff Johns is you can like, I think it's like in an omnibus or collector's edition. You can read this, or just as easily read the Shazam Rebirth comic, and you can have like a nice little jumping on point with Shazam, and get to familiarize yourself with the Shazam world. I really loved this. There were some things I thought was kind of, you know, I know it's details, but it's like the whole beat, the way Billy beats back at him is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't want to use the word dumb, but I can't find the right word for it. But it's like, there's no way if you both have the wisdom of your respective gods, like he shouldn't have been able to fall for that easily, kind of golding into that state of weakness. Uh, uh, some of the bullies are kind of cartoony. But you just need to try to establish like a person to utilize the seven deadly sins to add like an extra threat for the Shazam family to do something. But other than that, it's a pretty solid comic. So like I highly recommend it. Uh, Follow me on links in the description below. Leave a like, hit the notification bell. Let me know uh, what you think of the Shazam family. What you think of Billy Batson. Do you like the new iteration of his origin story? Did you prefer like the original story of his origin? Uh, but yeah, the next comic will be something from IDW. And it's gonna be a holiday center one. A couple of them are gonna be holiday center ones next month in December. So look forward to that. Uh, but yeah, I will see you guys next time.